So first things first, Pietro, let's watch some of the viral videos that have been coming out and presented later. For any listeners, we'll try to sort of annotate in real time what we're seeing, but obviously the video version will show this content on screen. Here is I think probably the biggest clip that really went viral first. And this is a fight that was choreographed between Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. So let's
And
just
this is
watch.
Sea Dance 2,
This
right?
is Sea Dance 2, absolutely. This is sort of what broke the internet when this simple 15 seconds got released.
You killed Jeffrey Epstein, you animal! He was a good man! He knew too much about our Russia operations. He had to die, and now you die too.
So, yeah, I mean, it looks exactly like them.
It does. I wonder how it'll hold up in the future, because like when people first saw King Kong
Totally
climbing a building, it didn't look like a guy in a monkey suit, you know.
Mm-mm.
It blew their mind. So maybe in the future we'll be like, oh, that's totally, you know, that's totally fake. But that is super convincing to me.
Yeah. The expressiveness in the performance feels very much like how Brad Pitt would perform this moment. That's part of it that's a bit kind of shocking as well. And I do think in a later episode, we'll get into the whole like Tilly Norwood kind of avatar replacement or digital avatar thing. But the fact that this Sea Dance model, the camera movement, the action shots, the performance in a way that just feels like it was shot with an incredible action DOP, performed with incredible actors, edited by an incredible editor, like all these things. There's
the sound
music,
design,
like
choreography, stunts, like it's all there.
It's all there, and it's very intense. Let's hop into another one here. This is a cool one. This is a clip from, I think somebody was like, let's make a better ending for Game of Thrones.
Oh, thank you.
Let's just watch
yeah,
this
we all
big
appreciate
thing.
that.
So we see Daenerys getting off her dragon, and Jon Snow is there, and they get married, and they're happy instead of like, you know, the opposite of what actually happened in the
everyone
show.
lives happily ever after ending.
Yeah, and I mean, the dragon looks great, you know.
It does.
The characters look great. I'm not really sure. Like, obviously, this stuff can get better, but you know, I was speaking to someone recently, and like, even the most expensive VFX, you know, was never perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it was always bad in a way. Like, you could always pause something and look at
something, go frame by frame. Yeah.
And so when you're looking at an output like this, and it's orders of magnitude cheaper to produce, like that's just going to have such a detrimental, such a disruptive impact to all the people that, you know, work on this type of content.
I agree. I mean, even the color grading is exactly Game of Thrones. Like,
totally,
that's work.
Yeah, it's wild. The whole feeling of it, the shots, everything. Let's jump into another one here. This is pretty crazy. This is like a Spider-Man fight. Oops, sorry, hold on, let's get back to this.
Wow.
And I mean, this feels like a scene that Marvel would create, right? Like, I think one of the things that was always really cool about the Marvel films was like they did have pretty great kind of action choreography. There was some really cool stuff that they were able to visualize. I think that you know, like some of the Doctor Strange stuff that they did was really, really cool. I think that as they got further along in their phases, they really started to do some incredible VFX work. But also in just the choreography of how the action and the shots happened, right? It really came to its own kind of visual language. And this just nails it. It just knows exactly how it should look and how it should be. Like there's beats and there's pacing and there's movement to the camera that matches the movement of the action. There's momentum, to the animation and to the shots. It's
Now, I've
quite
never used
level.
Dance 2, but like, I wonder what kind of artistry goes into making something like this. Not
Mhm.
to upplay or downplay anything like that, oh,
Totally.
no, a real artist made this.
Yeah,
No, but
totally.
what I'm trying to point out is, sure, it used to take a team of 100 people to do that scene in CG, and before that it would have been impossible to do practically. Now
Mhm.
one person can do it, but like, does that just mean movies are going to get better and crazier? Are we
Mhm.
going to be able to do things that we could have never done on CG that we can't even imagine yet? Like, there's an art form here, is all I'm pointing out, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's incredible.
I know when it first came out, people were like, "Oh, well, we don't know exactly how it's being prompted
Sure,
or who's
yeah.
doing what, and there hasn't been enough public access." But having actually spoken to someone who had access, it's legit, and it's quite easy to get really, really good effects. Now,
Wow, amazing.
again, it's pretty obvious what all this stuff was trained on. It was trained on everything.
Yeah, totally. Clearly Marvel movies are in there.
Yeah, clearly. So let's jump in to see what Ampy thinks about all this, because I think that's going to be a good starting point. Okay, so both Pietro and I are very involved in the creative industries, and we are interested to hear, a bit of a summary of the research we gave you and how Hollywood is really reacting to this Dance 2 Marvel.
Think about it like this. Hollywood isn't reacting, it's fracturing. The studio saw that Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt rooftop clip, 15 seconds, 2-line prompt, photorealistic carnage, and the entire executive layer realized the game board just flipped. Netflix dropped $600 million on Ben Affleck's Interpositive, not because they love innovation, but because they're terrified of obsolescence. Adobe builds Firefly Foundry so Disney can lock their IP behind proprietary walls. This isn't adoption, it's panic dressed as strategy. The mega studios, they're building fortresses, training models on their own archives, automating 60% of post-production, slashing dubbing costs by 80%. They're not democratizing, they're consolidating. Meanwhile, the middle class of Hollywood, VFX artists, junior editors, sound engineers, they're watching the apprenticeship pipeline collapse in real time. So you've got this bizarre paradox. The barrier to entry drops to the cost of electricity, but the economic viability of being a human artist craters simultaneously.
Okay. That's, as usual, a little bit too perfect on the nose of how I was feeling about this.
Well, yeah, I mean, same here. My heart does go out to that, what was called the middle class,
Yeah.
of Hollywood, like the people just coming out of school, or had trained for something and just starting
Mhm.
their career and that type of thing. But at the same time, like, look at the opportunity in front of you, so my heart goes out to those people. That's
Mhm.
heartbreaking. My heart does not break for Tom Cruise
No,
or
no.
the big Hollywood companies,
Right.
because it's the end of an era.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, you did great. You did
Yeah.
great, and this is why your face is in this, because you're top of your game.
Absolutely.
And
The
in the
most
future,
popular actor of all time.
exactly. And if Marvel movies didn't, make billions and billions of dollars, they wouldn't have been the example. So,
Mhm.
like, I think we're too early for this right now, but in the future, when something like this will happen, you'll be like, oh, the fact that my image or my voice or my style is being used means I've made it. It means I'm in culture. It means
Mhm.
I'm top of my game, and
Mhm.
people will want that in the future. They won't feel ripped off,
Mhm.
or that they're now losing money because of it. They'll
Mhm.
celebrate it being they'll celebrate being the example, because it
Mhm.
means your movies are great. It means your personal brand is great.
Yeah.
So it's a paradigm shift that's coming. But yeah, my heart goes out to those the people starting their careers right now.
Mhm.
But there's tons of opportunity for them.
Some of the kind of studio tools that are coming out and that, obviously we've played around with are leaning into like less about, hey, just prompt something like lazily and more about like, give me some ingredients. Have your production designer like show me exactly what the background should be.
Yeah.
Like do some research around developing that, right? Build your character, in a way that it works for this place, or
Hmm.
potentially do a live action recording on a sound stage and then transfer that action, use that action as the motion transfer for the generative model to kind of transfer onto the character.
Yes.
A lot of these processes are very similar to what was happening in VFX before, right? It's just that the cost of entry or the cost of going from idea to output has just been crushed.
Yeah.
And so when you have an industry that survives off of the sort of linear progression from script to production design to shot to editing to compositing to lighting to 3D to matte paint, like all this stuff in between there, and all of a sudden that's compressed down into new pipelines and new processes. This type of pivot, this type of change is incredibly disruptive.
Where I went while you were saying that is like my mind imagined what would a movie look like if you took that same 100-person team and empowered them with this technology. What
Mhm.
would that movie look like? And well, sure, what speed would it be produced at? Great, time is money, but like
Mhm.
what creative potential would come from 100 people using this
Yep.
and aligning, and the new pipeline, to your point, there was a pipeline that worked for 100 years now. What does that new pipeline look like? And
Yep.
how what would a big studio production look like empowered with this technology? No idea.
One thing that excites me about it, and I know you're gonna love this because you and I have dreamt of this kind of media for a long time, but one of the issues with branching narrative, kind of live storytelling, where the audience has a say in what a character does or what
Mhm.
action on screen happens or what choices somebody makes, have basically up until now been like sort of prohibitive to
Mhm.
produce because I know you've done some branching work before, as have I, but like every time you have a decision, right, you break out into 2 to 3 new paths, and
Yeah.
those paths become exponential, and there's all sorts of ways of kind of corralling that and like controlling that, and there's sort of ways to produce that, but it's not double the amount of content. It ends up being 10 times the content, 20 times the content, 100 times the content.
Yeah.
And so when I look at some of these new technologies and some of what we saw, it's like, man, that's going to actually be very possible. You take a team, right, that can make 2 hours, and now you're like, hey, with the new tools, you can make 20 hours,
Yes.
right? You can make 200 hours.
Yep.
All of a sudden now those branching narrative, you know, put the decisions of whether Luke turns to the dark side or not in the control of the audience in that
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
in the theater or at home on TV, however you want to have that interaction. I think that's kind of a really exciting part of this for me.
That's a great point in terms of the new media that this will produce, right?
Hmm.
Like okay, so you like your hour and a half movies, you like the Marvel universe, great. So now we're creating movies that, to your point, John, we can have the audience control or go back and watch again, change
Hmm.
one little factor, and or be, I always think of lean back or lean forward
Yeah,
experiences. So
totally.
you're fully lean forward, you're changing everything, you're making different decisions, and there are
Hmm.
thousands and millions of permutations of what this movie could do.
Hmm.
That is also that is exactly what this technology can lead to, but
Hmm.
that's also going to require us to evolve our thinking around the medium as well,
Yeah.
because it's not going to be, we're not going to just create flattened a trillion flattened videos, you know,
Right.
and sew them together. It's going to have to be volumetric. It's going to have to be real time. It's going to have to be done in a game engine or a world model, probably a world model. God bless you, game engines, but
Right.
watch out.
Yeah, that's another episode.
That's another episode. Yeah. But we're seeing like this like rendered media showing what the future of that like real-time generative media is going to be.
Yeah.
And it's going to be incredible.